Listen to stories and analyze vocabulary. Part 1 Story, The Light Beyond the Hill. Chapter 1, A New Beginning. It was early morning when Noah stepped off the bus. The small station was nearly empty, except for a sleepy attendant wiping down the ticket counter. Noah took a deep breath, tasted the crisp air. There was a sharpness to it that cut through the fog in his mind. He looked around. The town of Marleywood lay quietly ahead, tucked between gentle hills covered in pale spring grass. A few rooftops peeked out from behind budding trees. It looked peaceful, almost painfully so. After months of turmoil, all Noah wanted was a place that would let him disappear for a while, a place where nobody knew his name or the heaviness he carried. Dragging his worn-out suitcase behind him, he began to walk. The road was narrow and wound between old wooden fences. A dog barked somewhere in the distance, followed by the faint laughter of children he couldn't see. The sounds mingled with the rustle of the wind through the trees. Noah's mind was crowded with memories he wasn't ready to face. He forced himself to pay attention to small things, the crack in the pavement, the delicate yellow flowers pushing through the grass. Anything to keep his thoughts anchored in the present. Soon he reached a modest and painted a fading shade of blue. The sign swinging above the door reads Hillcrest Lodge. Inside, the air smelled of fresh bread and coffee. A middle-aged woman at the front desk gave him a warm, if slightly curious, smile. "Good morning. New to Marleywood, I take it?" she asked, her voice light, with a musical lilt. "Yes. Just arrived," Noah replied. He tried to return her smile, though it felt fragile on his face. Vocabulary analysis. 1. Crisp. Adjective, meaning, cool, fresh, used about air, or crispy, used about food. Example. The air was crisp and clean after the rain. Image. Breath puffed out white smoke. The air made the skin on the face slightly tense. 2. Tucked. Past verb/participle, meaning, hidden, tucked away, hidden. Example. The cottage is tucked away in the woods. Context. Creating a feeling of quiet, safety. 3. Turmoil. Noun, meaning, a state of chaos, confusion, deep anxiety. Example. His mind was in turmoil after the news. 4. Anchored. Past verb/participle, meaning, anchor, hold firmly, cling firmly, figuratively and literally. Example. She tried to anchor her thoughts in reality. 5. Lilt. Noun, meaning, a voice with a rhythmic rise and fall, a slight lilt. Example. There was a soft Irish lilt in her voice. Chapter 2. The Friendly Innkeeper. The woman introduced herself as Margaret. She wore a pale green apron dusted with flour. "Most people who come here either want to write poetry or run away from something," she teased gently. "Which one are you?" "Maybe a bit of both," Noah admitted. It surprised him how easily the words slipped out. Margaret gasped. "Well, you'll find Marleywood is room for all kinds of souls. Your room is at the top of the stairs, second door on the left. Breakfast is at 7 sharp." "Thank you," Noah said. He felt a slight easing in his chest, as though a tight wound spring had relaxed a notch. Climbing the creaky staircase, he found the room small but cozy. A vase of fresh daisies stood by the window. He put down his suitcase and sank onto the bed, listening to the distant murmur of voices below. For the first time in a long while, he let himself believe that maybe things could be different here. Vocabulary analysis. 6. Chuckled. Past verb, meaning, to laugh softly, to smile. Example. He chuckled at the joke. 7. Ease. Noun/verb, meaning, to lessen, to soften, to be more comfortable. Example. His words put her at ease. 8. Creaky. Adjective, meaning, to make a creaking sound, often used with stairs, wooden floors. Example. The creaky old stairs woke the baby. 9. Murmur. Noun/verb, meaning, to whisper, to talk in a low voice. Example. The murmur of the crowd filled the hall. 10. Cozy. Adjective, meaning, cozy, pleasant, small but comfortable. Example. The cabin was small but cozy. Chapter 3. An Unexpected Companion. The next morning, Noah awoke to sunlight streaming through sheer curtains. He hadn't slept so well in months. After a simple breakfast of warm bread and eggs, he decided to explore the village. Marleywood turned out to be even smaller than he'd thought. A handful of shops lined the main street. A bakery, a tiny bookstore, and a post office no bigger than a closet. People moved slowly, nodding greetings to each other. At the edge of town, Noah discovered a trail leading into the hills. He followed it, letting his feet choose the path. Soon he found himself overlooking the valley, the town below looking like a painting. And there, sitting on a flat rock, was a girl sketching. Her dark hair was tied back with a red ribbon, and her pencil moved quickly across the page. She seemed so absorbed that Noah almost turned back. But the girl looked up and smiled. "Lovely morning, isn't it?" she said. "Yes, it really is." Noah stepped closer, nodding. The fine lines of trees and rooftops she was drawing. "I'm Lily," she said, wiping graphite from her fingers. "You're new. I know everyone here." "Noah. Just arrived yesterday." "Well, Noah, you picked a beautiful place to start fresh." He smiled despite himself. "That's the hope." Vocabulary analysis. 11. Sheer. Adjective. Meaning, thin, light, fabric, or completely, absolutely, other contexts. Example. Sunlight poured through the sheer curtains. 12. Trail. Noun, meaning, small path, path in the forest, mountain. Example. We followed the trail up the mountain. 13. Absorbed. Adjective, meaning, absorbed, absorbed. Example. She was so absorbed in her book she didn't hear me. 14. Graphite. Noun, meaning, charcoal used in pencils. For example, her hands were stained with graphite after hours of drawing. 15. Fresh. Adjective, meaning, new, fresh, or starting over. For example, a new town means a fresh start. Chapter 4. Secrets behind smiles. Over the next few days, Noah and Lily often crossed paths. They will walk together along quiet roads, talking about the weather, about birds, or sometimes nothing at all. Silence with her wasn't awkward. It feels like sharing a secret. One afternoon, as they sat beneath an old oak, Lily asked, "Why Marleywood?" Noah hesitated. "Because I needed to leave everything behind. Mistakes, memories, things that kept me up at night." Lily's eyes softened. "Funny. I came here for the same reasons. Sometimes you think running away means you're weak. But maybe it just means you're still hoping for something better." Vocabulary analysis. 16. Oak. Noun, meaning, oak tree. Example. The old oak tree was over 100 years old. 17. Hesitate. Verb, meaning, to hesitate, to hesitate. Example. He hesitated before knocking on the door. 18. Awkward. Adjective, meaning, awkward, uncomfortable. Example. There was an awkward silence after his remark. 19. Paths. Noun, meaning, road, path. Example. Their paths crossed many times in the village. 20. Remark. Noun/verb, meaning, comment, remark. Example. His remark made everyone laugh. That afternoon, they sat silently for a long time, watching the sunlight slant over the hills. The leaves shook gently, the golden light shining through the gaps between the leaves onto Lily's hair. Noah thought, maybe life doesn't always need to be explained clearly. Sometimes just be quiet. Let your heart know you're at peace. Part 2. Chapter 5. A Walk into Shadow. The next day, the weather suddenly turned cold. Heavy gray clouds drifted over the roof. The light was pale and sharp. Noah put on a coat and walked with Lily along the old path, which led out of town, across a wild field where weeds grew up to their knees. No one said much. The sound of footsteps stepping on dry branches crackled under their steps. Lily gently ran her hand through the red ribbon in her hair, as if it were a comforting habit. Noah glanced at her, realizing there was something heavy in her eyes that he hadn't seen before. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Lily stopped, looking toward the horizon. "Noah, do you believe that everyone has shadows they try to hide? Parts that are hard to admit, even to themselves?" Noah swallowed, his chest tightening. I guess so." Vocabulary analysis. 1. Trudge. Verb, meaning, to trudge, to walk with difficulty. Example. They trudged through the thick mud for hours. 2. Meadow. Noun, meaning, a meadow, a small prairie. Example. The meadow was filled with wildflowers. 3. Horizon. Noun, meaning, the horizon. Example. A pink glow spread across the horizon. 4. Admit. Verb, meaning, to admit, to confess. Example. He admitted his mistake quietly. 5. Glance. Verb/noun, meaning, to glance, to glance. Example. She stole a quick glance at the letter. Chapter 6. Lily's Revelation. They found a fallen tree and sat down. Lily turned to face Noah, her hands clasped together. I haven't always lived in Marleywood, Lily began, her voice a whisper. I came here 3 years ago to escape what happened elsewhere. An accident, a bad choice. It took so much away. And even though no one here knows about it, I still feel it clinging to me. Noah fell silent, placing his hand on hers. I understand better than you think. People often believe that moving to a new town and making new friends will erase the past. But sometimes, the past is the thing that sticks with you the most. A cold wind blew, ruffling Lily's hair. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath. Then she opened her eyes and looked at Noah, her gaze no longer avoiding her. Maybe, Lily said softly, we don't have to try to forget. Just find someone who will sit next to us while we remember. Vocabulary analysis. 6. Revelation. Noun, meaning, the revelation, the discovery of a secret. Example. Her revelation stunned everyone. 7. Cling. Verb, meaning, to cling, stick. Example. The wet shirt clung to his back. 8. Persistent translation. In English, we can use persistent, lingering. Example. A persistent fear haunted him. A lingering sadness followed her for years. 9. Avoid. Verb, meaning, to avoid, to dodge. Example. She avoid. Ed looking into his eyes. 10. Embrace. Verb, meaning, to embrace, to receive, both literally and figuratively. Example. They embraced their differences instead of fighting. Chapter 7. Old Scars. On their way back to the village, they passed a small bookshop. Lily pointed to the display window, where there was an old brown-covered book. This is the one I read when I first came here, she smiled. It's like an old friend. I used to sit on that wooden bench all morning, just reading a few pages, drinking tea, watching people pass by. I like the way you find comfort in simple things, Noah said. And you? What kept you going through those bad years? Noah paused, frowning. Music. I carried an old guitar with me and played it when I couldn't stand it anymore. It wasn't always good, but it kept me whole. Lily smiled. So, one day, will you play for me? I promise. Vocabulary analysis. 11. Scars. Noun, meaning, scar, physical or mental. Example. Old scars on his hands told stories of hard work. 12. Comfort. Noun/verb, meaning, comfort, consolation, comfort someone. Example. Books were a source of comfort to her. 13. Grin. Verb/noun, meaning, grin. Example. He grinned when he saw her coming. 14. Intact. Adjective, meaning, intact, not damaged. Example. Despite the crash, he escaped intact. 15. Promise. Verb/noun, meaning, promise. Example. I promise I'll be there. Chapter 8. An unspoken bond. In the days that followed, Marleywood was no longer just a place Noah wanted to escape to and forget. It became a lively town, with the chirping of birds in the morning, the scent of fresh bread wafting through the streets. And Lily, with her smile and deep eyes, was what pulled him out of his own darkness. One late afternoon, they sat together on a bench by the lake. The water was calm, reflecting the orange-red sky. Lily rested her head on Noah's shoulder. They didn't need to say anything, because the silence at that moment was enough. Noah thought, maybe not everyone needs a completely new start. Sometimes, just finding someone to sit next to you, quietly, is enough to feel forgiven, loved, and to be yourself. Vocabulary analysis. 16. Bond. Noun, meaning, a bond, a connection. For example, they shared a bond that words couldn't describe. 17. Reflect. Verb, meaning, to reflect or to ponder. For example, the lake reflected the mountains perfectly. 18. Shallow versus deep. Adjective, meaning, shallow versus deep. Used to describe both lakes and feelings, thoughts. For example, his feelings were deeper than she knew. 19. Forgive. Verb, meaning, to forgive. For example, it took years before he could forgive himself. 20. Deserve. Verb, meaning, to deserve. For example, you deserve to be happy. As night fell, the streetlights in Marleywood Village began to light up one by one. Lily held Noah's hand, squeezing it gently as a reminder that somewhere, in this big world, they had found a small corner to comfort the past. Under the yellow lights, the past was still there, but it no longer seemed so sharp that it hurt them. Part 3. Chapter 9. The Letter. One morning, as Noah walked down the hall of Hillcrest Lodge, Margaret called him over, handing him a thin envelope. "Someone sent you a letter this morning," she said, her voice strange. "It looks important." Noah was surprised. Who could send him a letter in this remote place? He tore open the envelope. Inside was a short note, written in a slanted hand. "Noah, we need you back. Some things can't be closed until you face them yourself. Don't hide anymore." Noah's hand shook slightly. The letter was a call from his past life, a life before Marleywood, before Lily. Part of him wanted to throw it away immediately, pretend he'd never read it. But another, deeper part of him knew that the things he left behind would eventually find their way back. Vocabulary analysis. 1. Envelope. Noun. Meaning. Envelope. Example. He tore open the envelope quickly. 2. Slight. Adjective. Meaning. Light, fragile, scanty. Example. There was a slight tremor in his voice. 3. Inkling. Noun. Meaning. Vague notion, premonition. Example. I had no inkling of what was about to happen. 4. Linger. Verb. Meaning. Linger, prolong. Example. The scent of her perfume lingered in the room. 5. Pretend. Verb. Meaning. Pretend. Example. He tried to pretend everything was fine. Chapter 10. Confession by the Lake. That afternoon, Noah found Lily by the lake. She was sitting drawing, her face slightly pensive. When Noah sat down next to her, Lily immediately realized something was wrong. "What is it, Noah?" He showed her the letter. "They want me back. To sort things out." Lily skimmed through it, then placed her hand on his. "Are you scared?" Noah nodded. "I ran away for so long, Lily. I thought if I stayed far enough, long enough, the mistakes would just disappear. But maybe they're still there, waiting for me." Lily squeezed his hand tighter. "Noah, I don't think we can ever really escape the past. But you don't have to face it alone. You can tell me, if you want." Noah looked down at the water, where their silhouettes were faintly reflected in the waves. After a long moment, he began to speak. About the people he had hurt. About unrelenting regret. About long sleepless nights. Lily listened silently, without judgment. Vocabulary analysis. 6. Confession. Noun. Meaning. Confession. Example. His confession lifted a weight off his shoulders. 7. Haunt. Verb. Meaning. Haunt. Example. The accident still haunts her dreams. 8. Regret. Noun/verb. Meaning. Regret. Regret. Example. He deeply regretted his decision. 9. Comforting. Adjective. Meaning. Bringing comfort. Example. Her words were strangely comforting. 10. Shoulders. Noun. Meaning. Shoulders, often used as a metaphor for a burden on the shoulders. Example. He carried a heavy burden on his shoulders. Chapter 11. Facing what waits. The next day, Noah stood on the small path leading to the bus station. Lily was beside him, her hand in his, her eyes shining with determination. "I don't want you to go, but I know you have to," Lily said softly. "I don't want to leave Marleywood either. I don't want to leave you. But I think it's time for me to stop being a runaway. Then go. And come back when you're ready. I'll be here, waiting for you." Noah leaned down and kissed her lightly on the forehead. "You've done more than you ever thought possible. You've given me a reason to want to be a better person." They stood there for a long time, not saying anything. When Noah finally walked away, Lily stood there, watching him, until the bus took him away and disappeared around the corner. Vocabulary analysis. 11. Burden. Noun. Meaning. A burden, both literal and figurative. Example. It was a burden he could no longer carry. 12. Depart. Verb. Meaning. To leave. Example. The train will depart at noon. 13. Resolve. Noun/verb. Meaning. Determination. Resolve. Example. His resolve grew stronger with each passing day. 14. Await. Verb. Meaning. To wait. Example. A new life awaits them across the sea. 15. Curve. Noun/verb. Meaning. A curve, a bend. Example. The road curved around the hill. Chapter 12. Returning home changed. Time passed. When Noah returned to Marleywood, it was autumn. Red and yellow leaves covered the paths, rustling under his feet. He stopped in front of Hillcrest Lodge, his heart beating fast as he realized how much he had missed this place. Margaret ran out to greet him, hugging him. "You're back, Noah. I knew you'd come back." And then he went to find Lily. She was still by the lake, drawing, just like the first time he'd seen her. When she looked up and saw him, her smile was so bright that Noah could barely breathe. He sat down beside her. They didn't need to say anything, because in that moment, everything was so clear: what was important, what was worth coming back for. Vocabulary analysis. 16. Crunch. Verb/noun. Meaning, to make a crunching, rustling sound, like dry leaves underfoot. Example: leaves crunched underfoot. 17. Gasp. Verb/noun. Meaning, to gasp, to choke, out of emotion or surprise. Example: she gasped when she saw him. 18. Glow. Noun/verb. Meaning, to glow, emotion, or light. Example: her face glowed with happiness. 19. Essential. Adjective, meaning, essential, core. Example: they found joy in the simplest, most essential things. 20. Worth. Noun/adjective, meaning, worthy, valuable. Example: some things are worth fighting for. Winter comes late in Marluit. Noah and Lily often sit by the small fireplace at the bakery, sharing apple pie and hot cocoa. Outside, snow falls quietly, blanketing the familiar street in white. Noah still thinks about his past mistakes sometimes. But with Lily, he learns to let the past be the past. It no longer defines him. It no longer holds him back. And best of all, he no longer has to go through winter or any season alone. This story is not just about Noah or Lily. It's also about all of us, people who carry hurt, regret, but still hope to find someone or somewhere to help us heal. Every word that appears in the story has more than just grammatical meaning. It also evokes images, emotions, and very human depths. Remember them, not just to use, but to understand your own soul.